Hello everybody, hope you're doing fantastically well. It's Connor here and we are back with another, or the first, rumour mill of the campaign. Yes, we are kicking off early. As I've mentioned 45 times in the last video, I am rather ill, so if you appreciate this video, make sure you're hitting the like. I thought I'd get the ball rolling really on the rumour mill earlier on. But yeah, I just wanted to stick it out now because I think it's everything transfers now. The World Cup's essentially finished and I think it's going to start kicking into gear very soon. Now, a little bit problematic when it's come to the valuation and the realisation maybe that Leeds are not going to be getting hold of Matheus Cunha this window. He's been left out of a friendly clash for Atletico Madrid as Wolves hold talk to sign the Leeds and Everton target, as reported by El Demarque. On Wednesday afternoon, the 2021 La Liga champions will face SD Ponferradina as they look to step up their preparations of the return after the Qatar World Cup. There's first-team regulars absolutely littered around the Atletico squad for this one. Carrasco, Niguez, Kondogbia, Lamar, etc., etc. But it looks like Cunha is absent from this. So, apparently Wolves are in talks to sign the Brazil international. And yeah, apparently this is going to be the finalisation of his transfer to Wolverhampton Wanderers because he's been obviously left out of the squad and apparently he's travelling to England, etc., etc. So I guess with the news earlier on this week from David Ornstein, the trusted source at The Athletic, that Leeds are seriously interested and going to be looking at the transfer of Matheus Cunha. This is a bit of a devastating blow, really. And the reason I'm saying that is because on another transfer windows, I'd have maybe given Leeds a little bit of slack. I'd have said, oh, well, we've got other targets to go on. And I mean, hopefully we have. Otherwise, we're literally not going to get another striker in this window. However, Cunha is a previous target. He's someone who we've clearly monitored. He's someone who Bielsa clearly liked. He's someone who Orta clearly likes. And it's just such a shame that we're not able to get that one over the line, even though you've got the link there with Jesse Marsch. I don't really understand what the profile of Wolves does over Leeds United. Maybe it's the fact that Lopetegui's just gone in, and obviously there's a bit of a link there potentially with obviously him managing La Liga before. I don't know, but it looks like Wolves have been very aggressive with this one. You know, the Premier League standings suggest that Leeds aren't going to be far away from Wolves at the end of the season. But this could be a signing which could really kick Wolves on and, be that differential between the relegation zone that Wolves are maybe facing and the mid-table bracket that we're all striving to get to, really. So, yeah, that looks like it looks like one Leeds have missed out on. It's disappointing for me, really disappointing, because I thought when I heard that news earlier on this week, I thought that is realistic. There was a lot of people asking me, do you think we can get this done? And previously I'd have said no. I'd have said no 100%. But I think the fact that we've had dealings with him before, we've spoken to him before when he was at Hertha Berlin, there's clearly an interest there, and I think a player always wants to be loved, and I think that's clear from Matheus Cunha at Atletico Madrid. He's fell out of love with football a little bit, it's evident. He's still young, and he almost needs an arm around the shoulder, and Jesse Marsch is that. Victor Orta's had contact with him before, and it's just such a shame that we're not able to get that one over the line. You know, is he looking at our style of football and thinking that's not going to suit me in almost like a lone striker role? I don't know. Would he prefer to be in a pairing? Would he prefer to be playing a little bit deeper? I don't know. Is that something that Wolves can offer him? But yeah, when you're looking at us and Wolves going in for that player, apparently Everton are looking at Cunha as well. There's a real correlation between all three clubs. It's the fact that we can't score goals, all of us. Now Wolves have gone out and rectified that. And when I say they can't score goals, I mean, it's like a general overview of Leeds United. You know, it's probably going to get to a point where Leeds are struggling for goals. As I said, at the start of this season, we've had some favourable games. We've had some really favourable games, and we've got some tough ones coming up, especially in our next three. We need a potent striker, really. And I just felt with Matheus Cunha, is he the ideal striker that I'd look at? Probably not. He's not the ideal striker that I'd look at. But as I always say to you guys, we've got to contextualise this. We're in the January transfer window where valuations are going to be high and players who are in form are not going to leave their parent clubs. Why would they? Why would they? Unless you go into a Manchester City, like we've seen with Josep Guardiola, who we were interested in a couple of years ago, who City are looking to pay 100 million for him. Unless that's happening, you know, City are coming in and bullying for a player who is in form, and they can afford the valuation. I don't see how clubs like Leeds United were able to get players who are in form, and that's the problem. That's what Leeds fans and every other fan, Everton, Wolves, whatever, need to contextualise. You've got to go for that second, third bracket of player, because summer is the optimum month where you can get players over the line. It really is. January is the toughest window, bar none. And I think this is why Matheus Cunha, as I've said, he wouldn't have been my ideal choice. However, he's a good player. He's a massive upgrade to Patrick Bamford. And listen, he's young. He's 23, already made the Brazil squad. And yeah, I just think that's a massive missed opportunity if he is to go to Wolverhampton Wanderers, which it looks like he is. I just don't understand how we haven't managed to get that one over the line. And it seems like a real miss. And a lot of you might turn around and say, look, Connor, we had no confirmation. Well, we had confirmation that Leeds was seriously interested in Matheus Cunha and going back in for him 3 days ago from probably the best journalist in this country when it comes to reputable sources and reputable information. So that for me would insinuate that Leeds were in for him. Leeds have been trying to talk to him, but for whatever reason, he's picked Wolverhampton Wanderers, which I think is a big L for Leeds. On to more news. Leeds United chairman Andrea Radrizzani has told sporting director Victor Orta he has been impressed by Morocco's Azzedine Ounahi. Now, Ounahi's obviously been part of this Moroccan squad, which has been flourishing, absolutely flourishing in this World Cup. They're obviously playing tonight, but Ounahi has been absolutely fabulous for them as well. And Victor Orta has revealed that he received messages from Leeds United owner Andrea Radrizzani about Morocco's World Cup star Ounahi. The 22-year-old has been the breakout player of the tournament, according to the White sporting director. So it's quite unusual how he's come out and said that. Obviously, Amala and Amrabat for me have been the standouts, but Ounahi has been there as well. And but as per the Yorkshire Evening Post, Victor Orta's come out and said, I'm going to be honest, I'll mention a name, Ounahi, the Morocco number 8. How many of our messages have I received about him? Even my president has messaged me, obviously, Andrea Radrizzani. Victor Orta then went on to say he's probably been the breakout player. Can we say that? I've known him for 2 seasons. This year he's at Angers, and I've been surprised by his physical level. He's not like that. I'm not saying he's been lazy, but I'm saying maybe the emotion is different. Maybe he feels different playing the Morocco shirt to the other one when there's a whole country behind you. So yeah, interesting how Victor's come out and actually said that. He's actually come in, and you don't normally hear him until the end of the window speaking about an actual transfer target. So there's one there. That's definitely one to keep an eye on. But, you know, coming out and saying things like that, obviously the parent club in France is probably going to turn around and say, ooh, dollar signs, and raise his price. But that's definitely an attainable one. Obviously not a massive side in France. And we're a Premier League side, we're Leeds United, we should be able to go and get that one done. Another one where Leeds should be bullying clubs and getting that one done. That is a deal that even if we're paying 15, 20 million for a midfielder, that is someone who, if the scouting is right, the player is in form, he's done exceptionally well for Morocco, he's clearly got a much better physical output than Victor Orta expected. That is something that we should be getting done. We know we need another midfielder, and number 8 would be ideal. This is someone who can play in the 6 as well. So, yeah, one to keep an eye on there. It's interesting that he's mentioning that one already. So, Leeds are apparently closing in on George Hall, the 18-year-old who plays for Birmingham City. Birmingham City have been trying to offer him a new contract. Doesn't look like that's happening. And according to Team Talk, the Whites are close to completing the signing of midfielder George Hall from Championship outfit Birmingham City. The 18-year-old was reportedly wanted by Leeds in the summer, but Birmingham refused to sell. So, yeah, great news again. I would say, however, listen, we've seen, literally this World Cup tournament, we've been talking about Jude Bellingham, who's come from that Birmingham outfit, who played in that 4-3 game at St Andrews, who was superb for Birmingham against Leeds United, and what a talent he is. He's probably going to be the best midfielder in the world at some point. But when you look at, so what I'm trying to say is, you know, when you're looking at maybe Birmingham City prospects, that's a really good coup for Leeds. I'm just a little bit like, we've known about George Hall now for about a year in terms of Leeds looking at him, that he's evidently going to go into the youth setup. That's great. That's fantastic. But can we just have some eyes? Can we have some ears on the first team, please? Can we just invest in a first team midfielder? Can we invest in a first team left back? Can we invest in a first team striker? It just seems every single transfer window we are focusing more on the youth setup, and I think that's because of productivity. I think that's because of sell-on value and money. I think Victor Orta and Andrea Radrizzani have clearly had a keen look at clubs like Chelsea, clubs like Man City, clubs like Liverpool, who have products in that youth academy who either go to the first team or they sell on for big value. And we're going to get onto one of those players in a little bit, but and that's great. That's fantastic from a business perspective. And there's a lot of money to make there. You know, the board will be looking at players maybe like Greenwood, Joe Gelhardt, etc., who have performed well for Leeds and would have a big sell-on value. But we also need to invest in the first team. It just feels we are so heavily focused at the minute on youth that sometimes the first team is distracted from the first team investment. It really is. And that's great with George Hall. Okay, that's fantastic. But let's not make this a thing for 3 or 4 weeks. Let's actually go out and get 2 or 3 players in as well, because we know George Hall is going to go straight into the youth setup. And I just think, like, okay, that's great, that's fine. It doesn't have to be big news. Let's get him in quietly and let's move on to an actual midfielder in the first team. I'm just hoping this isn't going to be something that we've seen before with the board. I think they did this a little bit with Darko JB, where it's almost announced as a midfielder that's going to be played in the first team multiple times, and that's evidently not the way that this one's going to go either. He's definitely going to be in the youth setup. Obviously, we've heard yesterday as well, everyone, about Football Insider reporting the Whites are monitoring PSV Eindhoven defender Philip Max. So, Max joined PSV in 2022, 8 goals, 6 assists. It's definitely one to keep an eye on. And the last one of today's rumour mill, everyone, is Leeds United are likely to demand a high fee as they look to sell Cody Drameh in January. Now, that's not a bad headline. If we are actually demanding a high fee for it, it's actually some good business. Leeds is outgoing. If you actually think about incoming money we've had for a lot of players that we've sold on, it's been next to nothing. And that's literally been in the entire time that Andrea Radrizzani has been part of this Leeds United setup. We've had Rafinha, we've had Calvin Phillips, but you take those 2 out of it and it's been nothing. You know, the sell-on and what we've managed to recoup has been just nothing, really. It's been pretty poor. So when we're looking at someone like Cody Drameh, the board will be thinking to himself, if he's not in the plans going forward, let's get a high fee for him. I understand that completely. But it just depends what their high fee is. You know, if we're looking at a young Premier League right back and someone who can play left back as well, someone who has played centre back as well in Cody Drameh, a lot of potential there. We should be looking at a fair chunk here. We really should. And apparently for Leeds to let him go, according to Teesside Live. According to Teesside Live, apparently Leeds would like to be heavily compensated. The Yorkshire Evening Post have claimed that Drameh is set to leave in January, and the contract extension that was once on the table for him is no longer available. I just don't understand it, everyone. I don't understand it. We've spoken about this before. Luke Ayling is on the downward spiral now. Fans have loads of nostalgia for Bill and all this sort of stuff. I don't mind Ayling, but he's not the future. Someone like Cody Drameh is the future. And he's clearly one of the better players in the under-23s. Marsh was talking about how good he was as well. In terms of the last 2 to 3 weeks, I don't know whether or not that's just him essentially saying that to hike the value up for Drameh. But Leeds just simply haven't given him enough minutes. Luke Ayling is on the wrong side of 30, reoccurring injuries. He's a poor defender, in my opinion. And 21 years of age, Cody Drameh. He's versatile, as we've said. He's clearly Premier League capable, and he went to Cardiff last season for 6 months and won Player of the Season. And I just think when you're looking at Newcastle, you're looking at Dortmund, you're looking at Bayer Leverkusen, all interested in him. What are we doing? And the only reason I'm going to turn around and say, okay, that's understandable, is if we get a really high transfer fee for him. But do we have do we believe that's going to happen with what happened in the summer with Leeds United when it came to some of our best assets and getting high value for them? I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I do think this one's a mistake. I think Cody Drameh could be one going forward who could be a staple in this Leeds side. And I'm not just talking about second fiddle to Christensen. I'm talking about challenging him. He's only 21 years of age, everyone. 21 years of age. But there's still people talking about giving Bill the right back spot. Which is, listen, I don't want to sound like I'm hating or anything like that, but I want my club to evolve, for goodness sake. I'm just absolutely sick of having the same conversations every transfer window. You know, Clicky, should we give him a new contract? You know, Clicky can play in loads of positions. Let's keep him on. He's a good ball player. Forshaw, he needs more of a chance. Luke Ayling, he's come back. He's better at going forward than Christensen. That's fine. That doesn't mean he's good enough. That means that either Christensen's got something serious to work on, or there can be other right-backs out there that are better than them both. And we've not seen enough of Cody Drameh. Patrick Bamford is the answer. You know, as we saw from Noel Whelan the other day, all these conversations about old players who need to be moved on, it's just getting tiresome now. And, you know, ideally, I'd want a lot of them to move on this January and Leeds to be in that transitional game, which we should have been in last summer and the January before that, in terms of phasing these boys out and bringing in 2 or 3 players per January window, per window, I should say. And I just think we need to start working like that as a club. I'm not saying it's as simple as that, but that's why you get lots of money for outgoings. And that's why you get the best value for those players who are your best assets. And that's why you box clever. You don't have to be spending 20, 30 million on each player. You can be spending really wisely and getting things over the line and just being a bit of a progressive club. I just feel like at the minute with Leeds, I don't know if it's because of the owners, it probably is. Well, it is because of the owners, isn't it, in terms of him not wanting to pump more money into Leeds. But I just feel like we're stuck in the mud at the minute. And, you know, I hope this transfer window picks up, but I've just got a bit of a nagging feeling. I think it's just probably surmised by the fact that Cody's definitely going to go. Do I feel we're going to get a massive value for him? Probably not. And then you look at someone like Matheus Cunha, who, as of 2 days ago, Leeds had serious interest in, and it looks like he's been left out the Atletico Madrid side, and he's going to be signing for Wolves, a direct rival to Leeds, who don't have a striker. So yeah, slightly disappointing, unfortunately, this one, guys. I hope it does pick up. But as I say, this is, when you come and watch One Leeds, I feel like it's an honest review. And it's not been the best start. I mean, it's not. I don't think Cody should be going. And Cunha, yeah, I think maybe, as I say, not the ideal signing, Cunha. However, he's a definite step up, a mark-up on Patrick Bamford, and he's a mark-up on Rodrigo, and he's only young. So, yeah, I think that'd be a really good signing for Wolves. But, yeah, guys, let me know exactly what you think in the comment section below. It's been an enjoyable one today, even though the news hasn't been great. Let me know what you think on all the topics, and we'll be back very soon with another review.